For the Eagles, Marcus Mariota had some struggles. 9 for 17, 86 yards, and an interception, some throws that were off the mark. And look, he's the backup. He's the guy. He's the guy that is there in the event that Jalen Hurts gets injured this year like he did last year. And they're happy with Tanner McKee. And who knows what happens with Mariota. If he keeps playing like that, he's got one more preseason game to prove himself. But, yeah, the Eagles will not wait around on a guy who is showing that. They will move on to somebody else because they learned last year the value of having a competent backup because Jalen Hurts could again. And that's what you need to have. You need to have what? They learned it last year. They needed Gardner Minshew for 3 games. 5 games.
They've known it for years.
Well, that's true.
I'm just saying, like, that's why they got Jalen Hurts in the first place, you know?
I agree with you.
Because
I agree with you. That's right.
You need a competent backup.
So they say.
That's a huge but that's a huge part of their organizational philosophy.
Right.
Is having
they won a Super Bowl with a backup.
Yeah.
They regard backup quarterback as one of the most 11 important positions on the team. And ideally, that person never plays. But every team with a great quarterback needs to have a guy that you can count on for 2 or 3 games because that can make all the difference in the world for your season. So if Mariota's not getting it done, they won't mess around. They will not. That's one thing the Eagles will not do. If there's a guy that is not playing to their level, they will make a change, whether that is bump up a lower guy or go out and find someone else to come in and be the backup to Jalen Hurts as of week 1.
Yeah, and they might need to because I'm serious, Mike. Like, you look at what Marcus Mariota was doing last night. It just looked like what he was doing with the Falcons last year, which is why it was kind of like, man, when are they going to play Desmond Ridder? And finally, they did for the last 4 games. But Marcus Mariota right now just is not playing at the kind of level that you would expect a veteran quarterback to play. Right? This is somebody who has been in the league since 2015. He has 74 career starts. You don't expect him to go out there and check into a run play that ends up being a safety at the goal line. I mean, I don't really know exactly what was assigned there. You know, the guard might have missed the block, but at a certain point, why is he checking into that play? Is that something that's on the quarterback or is that something that's solely on the offensive line? I don't know, but I just know what the result was, right? And then also you look at all the passes that were airmailed and everything. You just can't have this from a backup quarterback. So it made sense to go and take a look at Marcus Mariota to go and sign him after Gardner Minshew went to the Indianapolis Colts following Shane Steichen. Right? Yes, you think that when somebody has this many starts in his career, he can come in, he can at least be a quality backup for you. But you contrast what Marcus Mariota has looked like with the Eagles versus Sam Darnold with the 49ers, right? That's somebody who, again, has plenty of starts, was a high draft pick. But at least Sam Darnold looks a little bit competent, and he looks like he can go out there and pilot the offense. You don't even see that from Mariota right now. So I would be concerned if I were the Eagles. And I know that Sirianni said he was not last night, but I'm sorry. In the back of my mind, if you see that, there's no way you can't be at least a little bit concerned with your veteran backup.
Tanner McKee, the rookie from Stanford, was solid last night. He was a 6th-round pick, so they have some belief in him. They see something in him. They ideally would probably prefer to groom him into the backup role 24, keep him around for a couple of years, just like Andy Reid used to do, cycle them out and get another one and maybe trade one of these backups. But they may need to trade for a backup. You mentioned Sam Darnold, and I was on KNBR yesterday, and, you know, they're the folks who are in and around the 49ers, covering the team, rooting for the team, they're so sensitive about Trey Lance. And I think that they'd just all be better off if they could move on from Trey Lance. They need a good trade partner. Trey Lance backing up Jalen Hurts would be a hell of a lot better at this point than Marcus Mariota, if you believe that Trey Lance can't play. That's been one of the hot takes this week, that he lacks the quarterback gene or whatever it is. But I just think he was in a bad situation to start his career. And I'd be intrigued by him backing up a guy like Jalen Hurts or even Josh Allen, who doesn't have a solid number 2 behind him, and you need somebody who can come in and kind of replicate what the starter does if the starter gets injured. So I don't know that they get a deal done because I think the 49ers would want a lot for Trey Lance to save face given what they gave up to get him. But if I'm the Eagles, I'm at least considering the possibility after what Marcus Mariota did last night.
But here's the problem with that, Mike. You don't know what Trey Lance can do because there's no tape on Trey Lance. I mean, this is part of the issue that we keep talking about with him. He doesn't have much playing history at all. Right? Think about what we were just talking about with DTR, his 48 career college starts. Trey Lance doesn't have anything close to that. He's barely played football since 2019, and it's not his fault. And I don't want to say like, oh my gosh, this means he's a complete bust. He's terrible. He's this. He's that. Like, I don't really think that. We have no idea what would have happened last year if he had not gotten hurt in week 2. But he did. And so the problem that the 49ers have is they've got this win now roster. And if you're going to have a backup, you want somebody who you can trust to be in there and know what they're doing inherently. And so that's the other problem. If you get Trey Lance to be your backup in Philadelphia, what are you going to, what are we, I mean, he's not a veteran. He doesn't have the playing experience. You're still trying to teach him how to do things. So you're trying to develop a guy when you need that guy to be a solid veteran backup and have him come in, stabilize a game if necessary, or maybe win a couple if necessary, if your starter gets hurt. I don't think Trey Lance being a backup in that situation for another team is really going to be something that behooves either party.
By the way, the Eagles' safety that was surrendered was preceded by rookie linebacker Nakobe Dean making a big hit and jarring the ball loose, and that's encouraging. You know, they recently signed a couple of veteran guys, Miles Jack, Zach Cunningham, because there was questions, you know, but you get a little answer when he comes flying through, and he rocketed through so fast they didn't even realize he was the one who forced the fumble. They thought Street was the one that knocked it out, but Dean came through and knocked the ball out before Street gobbled up the runner and put him on the ground. So that was an encouraging moment for the Eagles, because when you got a ton of strengths on the team, the weaknesses stand out, and that interior linebacker position is one where if you had to point to an area where maybe you should be concerned, that's the area, and Dean helped alleviate those concerns last night. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.